all the riders on the pave and stop them
this
going
is the breakaway
on to
that's Sebastian Turgot, who's just trying to find a little bit of smooth path, as you can see. Indeed, the idea has been adopted by just about everybody. A smoother surface when you've got the cobbles and you've had to deal with that. Your backside does take one hell of a beating, as Sean Kelly will attest to. And so whenever you've got some respite, Brian, you're going to take it, aren't you?
Of course you are. I don't know. They try to stop that to keep all the riders on the pave and stop them going on to the side. So I don't know where they're at with that at the moment, because everybody is just deciding to go on to the kind of path at the side of the road. Not much of a path though, but this is what's left of the peloton. Sagan was, I think he looked absolutely amazing in the Old Quaremont. He split it all to pieces. It was in fact Lotto on the fronts in the red jerseys that came up, tried to split the peloton, but it was Peter Sagan that, you know, ripped everybody's legs up there. There was guys everywhere. Christophe was in the second group. He came across with a few riders, but more importantly, one of the riders that really impressed in the Old Quaremont was right up there. He's been protected all day by his Orica teammates, and that's Caleb Ewan. And Caleb Ewan has shown very well so far today.
He has, and the youngster who, of course, this is his first senior race on cobbles, so a lot of people were wondering as to how he might function. But he's going very well, and he's got the protection that the quick men naturally need at a situation at a moment such as this. Teams with quite a few personnel do include I Am Cycling, Mattia Palucchi they've got, who can go quickly, and of course the aforementioned Lee Howard. So it could be a bit of an Australian festival today. I Am Cycling, you can see them, they're about 9 and 10 off the nose of these chasing groups. Lotto at the moment in their familiar red and white, working for Jens Debusscher. It could be a tough-ish day. That's Roger Kluger, by the way. It looks like he's suffering just a little bit with his winter vest undone. Never really understood that. Either zip it up or indeed get rid of it, because he's just giving away precious watts, frankly, at this time. Minute and a half, it's just 92 seconds then, as we stand between our breakaways. So we better quickly go through them, quite frankly, because it looks like the chase is on. A lot of the teams of the stronger men just want to keep the hurt where they believe it should be, and the motorcycles just making a slight nuisance of themselves as we speak. Sebastian Turgot then of AG Tour Le Mondial is in the break. So is Mirko Trozino of Southeast Venezuela. Team 3M of Belgium managed to get in the break as well, the Continental boys. Jaap Daman. Great name. We've got Van Ginneken and De Vries, both from Roompot in their tangerine jerseys. We'll see once we get up there. I'm telling you this, by the way, because it looks like they're doomed. Janto is here as well. Janto Barker, the Brit, 36-year-old from One Pro Cycling. He's also up and in the break. Jerry Droitz and David Boucher from the Creelan team. Rather foxingly put on last year's wind cheater, and in fact have covered up this year's jersey rather confusingly. But Roman Cardis is also up there from Team Direct Energy with their golden rainbow, and Boy Van Poppel of Trek Factory Racing is the other one in the break. Brian, it looks doomed because these guys look determined. Some of the stronger teams, we saw Ethics really mixing it up. They had to do something after the sheer disappointment of yesterday in the Omloop.
Yeah, well, there are teams disappointed from yesterday. Lotto Soudal had a rider on the podium, so they would have been relatively happy. But you know, they're a Belgian team. They came to the front in the Old Quaremont trying to rip it up. They've done likewise now with Stig Brooks is on the front with Jürgen Rollins and De Buschere. And I'm thinking, every team's got their tactics. It's all different, and it looks as if Lotto Soudal want to come into you know, Harelbeke in these finishing laps with a lot smaller front group. You know, there's so many good sprinters in here. Last year it came down to a big bunch sprint won by Mark Cavendish. So nice to see another British team here, One Pro Cycling, and yesterday they had a rider in the breakaway, the experienced Christian House, and yet again they've got Janto Barker, the 36-year-old, originally from Carmarthen in Wales, up in that front group. The maximum they got, the 11 riders, was in fact 9 minutes. It's coming right down, and you can just see Lotto Soudal really trying to dish out a bit of pain. You can just see Stijn Vandenberg there for Ethics, and Ethics in the blue, the big tall figure. they really were found wanting yesterday. And I've also, we've been kind of watching this off air, and I think that's the rider at the front just coming up to Terpstra, but Luke Rowe is looking in amazing form, and he actually been riding well today so far as well.
He has. He was the first rider to eschew, to get rid of his arm warmers. Just about everybody started off with some real winter gear on. Zico Vatens, by the way, is also just off the back of this group, and I think he may well have stopped for a technical. Not quite sure what the issue was, because he was way up there towards the 4. Ian at Cycle Betting has been talking about Zico Vatens very much. He is from Leerdingen, which is I think the finish line's only about 7 k's away from Leerdingen. And so he knows it very well. And he's the chosen man for Giant, who, of course, are without the injured or recovering John Degenkolb. A team like Giant have got such a massive history, Brian, whenever it comes to sprinting events. This would have naturally been a target for that sort of team. They're without the chosen one, as you might say, but they've got some others to fall back upon. And I guess local knowledge for Zico Vatens may well prove to be invaluable.
Yeah, this is an opportunity, certainly for them, because they would normally come here looking for, you know, John Degenkolb. You know, they lost Kittel as well to Ethics. Obviously, Kittel not riding today, but you know, Ethics have got something to prove. They have been, you know, they were chasing yesterday, but unfortunately, they never got the result. Whether they get it today, it's going to be very difficult.
They sell mushrooms locally. You would never guess. 49 kilometres to go. Sorry, 49 seconds the gap, 62 kilometres to go. Incidentally, in this part of the world, which I used to live, the woodland area, lots of fungi to go and pick. And if you ever pick one, you can take it to a local pharmacist, and they'll tell you whether you can eat it or not. Christophe at the moment feasting himself upon these modest inclines, but is it too much for Alexander Kristoff today? An eternal question. I think he started off as out-and-out favourites for the day, and he's staying where he needs to be, Brian, on more than one occasion. Is he going to get found out? Will fatigue play a part? He's been busy.
He has, and I think fatigue will play into it. He's having to do a lot of effort. You know, some of his teammates now are struggling to stay with him, and that's what you need. You need riders to stay with you, and already you've got Marco Haller, the Austrian rider, drifting back here. So you can just see a lot of the Katusha team aren't able to go with Kristoff, and he's having to make his own efforts. You cannot relax in these races at all. We're going over some climbs, you know, we went over that kind of pavy section where they're jumping onto the kind of mud side paths, and you cannot relax in these races. It's full gas all the way, and you can just see I Am Cycling plus Lotto Soudal, the two teams wanting to keep the pressure on this race.
Certainly are. Top Sport are represented here as well. I wonder if that's Bert van Lerberger. We were talking about him in some of the Spanish races. He went extraordinarily well. In fact, it was his antics, I think it's fair to say, albeit I underline fair, that Tom Bonen sort of forced Tom Bonen to back out of the sprint, which begs this question to you, Brian. Tom Bonen, he backed out of the sprint, was in Valencia, looked uncomfortable when it got a bit hairy. It's going to be hairy today. Has Tom Bonen, has he lost anything in terms of, well, is he carrying a little bit of worry being so soon back from injury, which he sustained at the end of last season?
Well, I don't think in a race like that he was going to take the big risks. In races such as this, he'll probably take more risks. It's horses for courses, really, and he probably thought he wasn't going to risk it in that sprint. I think it was Andalusia, so he decided to back off in that. But it's going to be interesting to see what tactics Ethics are going to play out. It's the first big weekend of cobbled racing here in Belgium. So nice to see one pro cycling in the peloton here, Janto Barker, the veteran on that team, one of the most experienced riders, using that experience, and probably the best place to be is in this group of 11, because you can see the damage that's been done behind. They had 9 minutes, and now just purely because of the racing behind, it's come down to almost 40 seconds now. There
is Janto, he's got the sort of Cambridge blue, sort of pale blue, a greeny blue, accent to his helmet, probably in about P4 at the moment, but he's showing the duty, and they're working very well together, to be fair, as a breakaway group. And you can see that the fracturing it's having, courtesy of their efforts, has been reasonably significant. There we are. That is indeed Zico Vatens leading this group right now. Looks like he may have had a little bit of bother earlier on, but he still looks lively. That's the rider, by the way, for Giant, with the red helmet closest to the barriers. In the nearly all black. There we are, he's finally identified for you. He is our local man and expected to go very well, but he's clearly had an issue.
Yeah, the issue is the previous climb of the Tegenberg. The pressure was put on by Lotto Soudal and kind of split the peloton. You could see that Christoph was having to make an effort. He cannot sit back and wait for his teammates. He wanted to be in this front group, and you can just see these 4 riders trying to make contact. And it looks as if with the neutral service and commissaire car, the referee car just behind, there could be a significant gap back to the next group. So this is the last chance that Zico Vatens has got to come across to this front group now.
They have been leaning on him as a group because he's the only one who remains a threat. And I guess if you've got teammates up the road, then you're certainly not going to help out. And that's the case with Pim Lichtart here for Lotto, who's just sitting in front of Zico, who's at the back. Looks like they are going to get back in, thank goodness for them, and particularly for him, because he can spin it up quickly if it's a select group at the end. But he's got some very big, powerful men who are also part of this group. And most notably, as Brian was saying, Caleb Ewan, who is on his first senior cobbles run. He had a spectacular time, of course, in Oz at the top of the year. And the Australians often come out of the closed season in fine form, because essentially they've raced through the winter in ideal conditions down under. And so maybe it is going to be day for Oz. Caleb Ewan is here, the aforementioned, of course, that we mentioned a little bit earlier. Lee Howard as well for IM Cycling. They've got the firepower, the Aussies, and boy, oh boy, how many IM Cycling riders are here? Lee Howard's looking well catered for, I think.
Yeah, and you see Heinrich Hausler, last year's Aussie champion, just coming to the front, and they do have numbers. Just look to see, in fact, where Caleb Ewan is. You can see some of the Orica jerseys, but I can't actually see him. So he rode well over the Old Guadamont. Has he made this next selection? We'll just have to wait and see.
Zico's in the house, just managed to tag onto the back of that group. There's our breakaway, 50 seconds away, and we're heading back to some climbs. Welcome back. The main body approaching the Holstraat. We've had the Teigenberg, which, as you saw, it started to affect Zico Vatens and some of the others who had got big ambitions as far as today is concerned. As a result, we now have another climb, penultimate climb of the day. The final one will come with 50 k's to go. I'm just going to welcome everybody back.